you this evening on What's Brewing. India caters to more than 50 million intercity travelers on a daily basis, an Omidyar network report shows. Now, despite a bumpy ride during the pandemic, the bus service segment in India has grown consistently. In 2020, more than 95.5 million people traveled by bus, and this number is estimated to reach 120 million by 2026, a Statista report says. Keen on making bus travel a lucrative option is startup Intercity Smart Bus, which claims to have achieved profitability and is aiming to achieve $100 million in the next 12 months. Backed by the likes of Nandan Nilekani and Samsung Venture Investment, the startup recorded over 2 lakh monthly seat capacity and 80% increase in revenue. To discuss the spike in travel, the kind of growth they are seeing, and the future roadmap for the company, joining me now on the show is co-founder Kapil Raizada. Welcome to the show, Kapil. Now, Intercity has grown 1.8 times in the first half of 2022, with revenues nearing $45 million in annualized run rate. And the platform is now profitable. So could you give us a sense of where do you plan to close this year?
Right. So travel has, as you know, travel has rebounded very strongly. And the Intercity Smart Bus offering has grown even stronger. So our first goal this year was to hit a business break-even, which I'm very happy to say that we achieved that in the last quarter as a rebound had happened. This year, we expect to go fairly strong. I think in the remaining half of this year, we are planning for another 50% growth. And next 12 months target is $100 million business break-even profitability.
So you want to reach the $100 million mark next. Now, till date, you have raised $30 million in funding, and as per reports, you're planning to raise another round of $25 to $30 million this year. So what is the fundraising plan?
Right. So our fundraising plan is essentially to cement the next stage of growth. We've kind of established a very solid product market fit. So we have created a fair bit of confidence on a lot of parameters. There is demand. There is market. We have a product that's being picked up by the consumers. We are now one of the single largest mobility brand out there. And we've also established a business break-even. So what we really want to do is now with the ready platform, basically scale this business model and establish the dominant leadership that we kind of started off with. That was a vision that we can redefine travel. And I think we are very close now to achieving the vision that we started off with initially.
All right, so are the talks on, and by when can we expect you to announce the fundraise?
So this is an ongoing process. I don't want to put a timeline around it currently, but we'll keep you posted as that happens.
All right. Now let's talk about business. What kind of increase in demand has the company witnessed from the start of this year? Has it come back to the pre-COVID level? And do you anticipate this number to go up?
Right. So yes. So this last quarter, the April, May, June quarter, was the first full quarter that was not affected by any COVID kind of a disruption, and we saw a very, very significant improvement over what we had compared in the last 2 years. So business travel and social travel, which are the two mainstream travel in the segment that we operate in. Our sense is they're not only back to normal, there was kind of a surge, I think, across the normal levels that we've seen in the last 2-3 years. Leisure travel and student travel, we believe, are still yet to pick up. And therefore, our forecast is that in the coming season of October, November, December, we expect the travel levels to surpass the all-time highs that we've seen so far. And that's what we're kind of building up in terms of addressing the demand that we see happening in from October onwards this year.
So as the festival seasons are nearing, there is going to be more traction on the platform. Now, you've mentioned that consumers are willing to pay a premium for a consistent and differentiated service. Take us through your customer base. What's the monthly seat capacity you've clocked, and how has the revenue per trip improved for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. There is this common perception that customers don't want to pay more, Indian customers don't want to pay more. And I think what we've kind of demonstrated in the last year, 2 years or so is that's not really correct. Yes, customers are value conscious, but for the real value, there is willingness to pay a slight premium. To give you a sense, our average ticket price has increased from about 900,000 rupees to closer to a 1,300 kind of a range. That's about a 30% increase that's happened. That's one. Second is the kind of customers you talked about. We focus a lot on business travelers, SME, category businessmen, salespeople, working professionals, students, traffic, who kind of frequent a route, regularly. So for these people, some level of comfort, reliability, and safety is important. That's one. And second is because many of them are regular travelers. They know they know the route, they know the players, and once there is a product that gives them a slightly superior experience, they're happy to come back to that product again and again. So that repeat and retention automatically builds if there's a superior product that gets introduced into the market.
All right. Now, Intercity is present across 16 states in India. Take us through your expansion plans this year. Going ahead, what are a few key focus areas for you?
Yeah, actually, so we are currently running a capacity of about 2 lakh seats a month. We're present in about 45 routes. Our plan now is to up the capacity to about 3 lakh seats before the end of this year. And that's about a 50% increase. In terms of the specific growth strategy, there are basically two ways to grow. We either go deeper on the existing routes where we are, or we enter into new routes. For the next 6 to 9 months, our focus is going to be to expand on existing routes. We have established a fairly strong platform on the 45 odd routes that we are there in 16 states. And our primary goal now is to increase our market share in all the routes where we are present. So primary growth strategy is going to be increase market share, go deeper on the routes. There will be some route expansions that we anticipate, but that will be a smaller part of the overall growth strategy for the next, I would say, 6 to 9 months.
All right. Now, one final question, Kapil, before I let you go. You're also planning to convert over 5,000 regular buses to connected smart bus network by leveraging technology. Could you elaborate on what this feature would entail?
Right. So essentially, the whole objective of the smart bus technology is twofold. For the passengers, it means that they have visibility into the bus, they have visibility into the running of the bus, the schedules, and the safety that comes around having secure boarding zones, being able to track a bus, talk to the crew inside the bus, etc., etc. So that's the value proposition from a consumer perspective. However, there is a full stack platform on the back end that works in terms of managing the operational reliability and safety of the vehicles. Now, that includes things like location tracking, speed tracking of the vehicle, identification of hotspots wherein the delays on the routes could have happened, enforcement of checklists in terms of this, inspection of the vehicle before delivery, before the start of the trip, at the end of the trip. So the entire idea of the connected smart bus is that the bus should not be a black box. Today, it's a black box even for the owners and the operators who run the bus, because the bus is out there and there's very little oversight, active oversight that the bus allows. What we are putting in the vehicle is basically the eyes, the ears, and some and brain power, so that we not only understand what is happening in every trip, we're able to fix problems and assure consistent, reliable performance of every bus on every day. And the entire smart bus stack is built to capture a whole lot of data from the vehicle, a whole lot of data coming from the consumers, and a whole lot of data coming from our own trained crew who are out there in the field, which gets monitored and analyzed to be able to show and understand what happened and how do we improve the consumer experience trip after trip. So that's where the entire full stack technology goes in. And we believe that that is the only way the bus travel can be made more reliable, more safe, and more convenient.
All right, Kapil, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We wish you the very best of luck with all your future plans.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on, Bangalore-based two-wheeler electric startup Ultraviolet Automotive bagged $10 million in a fresh round of funding from Amsterdam-based Exor Capital. Exor, which is also an investor in Ferrari, will now hold 3.48% stake in the company. Ultraviolet's F77 was unveiled earlier this month and is likely to be available for public test rides in September. Joining us now to discuss the company's road ahead is Neeraj Rajmohan, the co-founder and CTO of Ultraviolet Automotive. Neeraj, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Well, the last time we spoke, more like I spoke to your co-founder, you said that the bikes would be rolled out in the first half of 2022. We're now in the second half of the year. When will we see the commercial launch of the bike? What has led to the delays?
Thank you, Arundhati, for having me on the show. I think now a lot of focus is on Ultraviolet and because of the investment. But in terms of what we've been doing and what is entailed for us in terms of the launch and the public and commercial availability of the vehicles, we're now talking a matter of weeks, right? So we will be announcing the details shortly. But essentially, we're looking at commercial availability of the vehicles this year. So we're going to be making some pretty large announcements pretty soon. So I'd say hold on for that information.
So we're looking forward to those large announcements. But after the unveiling of the F77, what was the kind of feedback that you received? Did you make any additional changes to the bike?
Yes, so we've made significant improvements and advancements on the motorcycles on various parameters. In fact, to the level, we've sort of taken it to a whole new level of perfection, something that has never been seen before in the Indian EV industry, or for that matter, in terms of global motorcycles, right? In fact, there have been several updates on the sort of rigorous testing that we put the vehicles through. And what we're going to be launching to the consumers, we're going to be sort of setting some very high bar for products when we launch the product later this year.
All right. In fact, you will be rolling out your public test ride starting September. So how soon will we see this? Are you on track? And how will the bike be priced?
Sure. So in terms of what has happened recently, we actually had our first public test ride event with a very elite group of pilots in the aviation community to demonstrate the F77's cutting-edge specifications and capabilities.
Right.
So this was the first time where it was done, with completely individuals who had no connection with the company and, who have a very high level of expectations from the products that they typically own. So now with that completed, we're going to be rolling this out to the general public very shortly. And along with that, we're going to be announcing details on the pricing of the various variants and even the improvements on the batteries. So since we actually launched, or since we first spoke about the vehicles, there's been a significant improvement in the battery technology. We're talking about more than a 20-30% improvement in terms of battery capacity and range. So all of these announcements are going to be made very shortly.
And will we see these public test rides in September as on track?
Yes, yes, we should see public test rides starting in September.
All right, now let's talk about the fundraise as well. You've raised a fresh round of capital from Exor, which is a global company that backs the likes of Ferrari. So what were the kind of conversations you had with them?
So I think what was really exciting for us is that, like you mentioned, it's a Exor Capital. It's a very prominent global public and private market investor. And what excited us through the entire process is that they shared our passion for building globally competitive and futuristic mobility products. And what the F77 stands for is just that. So what we're actually targeting with the F77 is sort of the mid-segment motorcycles from a global market standpoint. It's not just built for India, it's actually built for global markets where IC engine motorcycles anywhere between 300 and 600 cc equivalents are typically priced. And we are sort of targeting this global market with a price point of anywhere between $10,000 and $12,000 US. So that's the larger picture that we're looking at.
Right.
The launch in India is going to be first, and followed by a launch in Europe and in US. So that's what we're looking at. And Exor sort of shared our passion for this project, and it's great to see that their investment is coming into the company at this stage, and this sort of, I guess, raises the faith in EVs and very high quality EV products.
Right. So India first and then Europe and US. So what do you plan to do with the funds raised? Where will the money go? What will it go towards?
Sure. So in terms of where the funds are going to be deployed. So one is that we're going to be ramping up the sales of the F77 across India. The second is that we've already actually started out certain things on the international markets where when it comes to trial certification and the eventual start of sale of the vehicle in international markets. So all of these activities are going to be sort of fueled by this new capital that has come into the company.
All right, big expansion plans there. You've already received over 65,000 pre-order interest. So how many bikes are you manufacturing from your plant at this point? You were targeting about 20,000 in the first year based on my last conversation with you guys. Are you on track to fulfill that?
Yes, very much. So in fact, actually, the demand has been quite crazy and insane. It sort of grows exponentially. So every few minutes, there's someone looking to buy a motorcycle, and we see that interest coming in on our website. It's going to be really hard to deliver, 65,000 motorcycles. And especially knowing that the interest is now coming from across 190 different countries.
Right.
We're starting out in India. Our first year production would be limited, anywhere from 15 to 20,000 vehicles. But we sort of want to scale that up in the second year and further. Right? So the production capacity of the plant itself is intended to sort of be in excess of 100,000 units. But for the first year, we're going to be limiting it to about 15,000 units.
All right. And what's the global interest that you're seeing? 190 countries. Where are you seeing most of the interest coming from?
So the interest actually, if you look at the broad buckets, it's India, it's the United States, it's Europe. And what is interesting and exciting from the sort of global markets point of view is that this interest is being fueled by, word of mouth, discussions between riders, between consumers. It's not really, we're not doing any sort of marketing or anything of that sort. So it's just purely organic, and people are excited by the specifications of the product, the design, the aesthetics, and all of that coming together in a single product. And that's what is exciting people, and that's what's pretty awesome for us.
All right, Neeraj, we're completely out of time, but thank you so much for joining us on the show, and we look forward to seeing those test rides in September.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having us on the show.
Welcome back. You're still with us on Startup Street. Nothing sells like biryani in India, and our love for the dish is turning what was once small cloud kitchen operators into big brands. From pan-India expansion to global forays and dine-in outlets, everything is in the handi for biryani by kilo. My colleague Akhil Vishwanath finds out how the startup is cooking its way to 1,000 crore rupee turnover. Here's that story.
Did you know? Last year, Zomato delivered 2 biryanis every second. Now, while you digest that, here is another data point. The chicken biryani has remained the most favored lunch or dinner order on Swiggy for the last 6 years. Is there anything more to say? We absolutely love our biryanis, and as we order more and more biryanis online, there are new age biryani brands rushing to fulfill our craving with cloud kitchens like this one in Gurugram. This is amongst 100+ outlets where Biryani by Kilo cooks its biryani slowly, carefully, traditionally, and delivers in handis or pots like these.
Biryani is that dish. It's a one-pot meal. It's very versatile, from Hyderabadi spicy to Lucknowi, Calcutta less spicy, to Guntur, Malabari, and from veg, katal, paneer, chole to chicken, mutton, fish, prawn. It's a very versatile product. It's a one-pot meal. It's more flavorsome, aromatic than, if I can say, a pizza or burgers. When we were doing our Reiki, Kaushik and I, in 2015, we realized that people are making biryanis in bulk. The old biryani players in Hyderabad, Bangalore, everyone was making it in 10, 20, 30 kg batches. No one was making it fresh on order, like a pizza is made on fresh on order. So we were very clear, Kaushik and I, that we have to make it fresh on every order, because biryani has to be dum cooked. That dum cooking is essential to biryani's heritage, where the aromas and flavors are captured. And we said we have to dum cook it in the handi.
While dum cooking has been essential to Biryani by Kilo's success, it was the founders' early bet on the cloud kitchen model and online food delivery that helped the brand not only survive, but thrive during the pandemic.
Pre-pandemic, January, February 2020, we were doing close to 1 million to 2 million orders a year. We have 35 outlets, 6 crores a month sales. Today, now when we stand in August 2022, we have 100 outlets. We are doing more than 20 crores in monthly sales. We are doing close to 4 to 5 million orders per year. So it has been a great journey. And how we see it, and we are very clear that by December 2024, we will have an annual sales run rate of 1,000 crore plus, with more than 250 outlets in India. Biryani is a delivery-friendly category. So if we knew that if we wanted to roll it out very fast, given that we don't have to go to high street or malls and spend a lot of capex and rent, cloud kitchens is the model. We always knew from day one, 2015, that cloud kitchens and biryani and delivery is our future, and that's the right way.
However, as the post-pandemic era throws up the challenge of being relevant in a hybrid world, Biryani by Kilo is tweaking its business model, adopting an omni-channel strategy by actively setting up dine-in outlets in every major city in India.
And omni-channel is a great strategy. Even if you look at Nykaa or Lenskart and a lot of the D2C brands, everyone has realized, and we realized it a few years back, that the experience of the customers at the dine-in outlets, even if it's one dine-in outlet per city, is quite important. We are not a QSR that way. It's a slightly premium dine-in, if I can say. We're also signing up food courts. Our first food court, it will be operational in another 2 months. We'll also be rolling out some airport outlets. So I would say visibility is important for any consumer brand, to be seen, to be connected with the consumer. But a majority of the business, 85 to 90%, will always be delivery.
As India relishes its biryani, venture capital investors want a bite of it as well. Some of the world's largest VC firms, such as Tiger Global, Sequoia and Axel, are already at the table. In fact, last November, Biryani by Kilo raised $35 million in its Series B fundraise, led by Alpha Wave and India's largest banker, SBI. What's the interest? India's cloud kitchen market is set to hit $3 to $4 billion in size by 2024, according to a report by Redseer. And ordering food online is not a habit that we are going to give up anytime soon. What's more, the space saw the rise of its first unicorn last year in Rebel Foods. Now, Biryani by Kilo is ready to turn up the heat.
I think a very important point here is it doesn't have an incumbent leader, like a burger or a pizza where McDonald's or a Domino's rule the world. So a biryani leader has to emerge out of India. This is the category which you can take worldwide. You can make it a $1 billion top-line company or a $10 billion top-line company like a Chipotle or a McDonald's, and still be growing. We'll be going international also by next year in Middle East and Far East. There are serious discussions ongoing with big F&B players there in those countries. And there are big F&B players who are already master franchisees of KFCs or Domino's in that region. In Middle East, Far East, UK, US, they're very keen to tie up with us in a JV or a master franchisee. And we are very, very, focused on that and very strong on that biryani, which is India's heritage, has to be taken in the most authentic way to the rest of the world.
Drawing inspiration from a string of F&B brands such as Devyani, Sapphire, Burger King and Barbecue Nation, which hit public markets in recent years, Biryani by Kilo too wants to list on the stock exchanges by 2025, as it plans to turn profitable at the entity level next year and hit the 1,000 crore revenue mark. With camera person Balbir Singh, Akhil Vishwanath for CNBC-TV18.
And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.